documented all of these herbs, and
Yes.
the documentary is about, tell us about, just give us a snippet as to what this film is about.
It is a 56-minute film, and it looks at medicinal plants like this. And what I've done is I've interviewed my family and friends in South Carolina, and my friends, an herbalist and naturopathic doctor named Maleka Agbeko here, Mr. Diamond Andrews,
Yes,
Mr. D, I've interviewed him, so he's in the documentary, and several other people. And what I've done is I've just made some connections in the African diaspora. And many of the herbs, like in my first documentary, I traced 20% back to Africa. So we brought them with us, we remembered how to use them, and in South Carolina we use many of them, like the fever grass, we call it fever grass, or fever leaf, in the very same way.
Really? Yes. Great. All right, but so let's link the diaspora, the African diaspora. We all came from Africa, we all came as slaves.
Yes.
Some were dropped off in North Carolina and varying parts of America, some came to the Caribbean. In terms of getting the link, of course you made the link through your film based on what you can share with what's in North Carolina and varying parts of the world that these Africans would have taken. I want to ask you, in your research, was it a result of the slaves taking with them some of the herbs from the motherland to making the journey through the Middle Passage and dropped off in varying parts of the world?
In some cases it was, but even in my own ancestry, I'm what you would call Amerindian. So I've got Native American heritage, and those Native Americans were dark-skinned. So people came from Africa over 50,000 years ago, much longer, before slavery.
Yes, yes.
And so I recently had my DNA test done, and it kind of confirmed a lot of my research. And what came up, as you said, is African Caribbean in my ancestry. And that went farther back beyond the period of enslavement. So there were Africans here, there were Caribs, you know, there were Taino in Haiti, and in America they were called Mississippians. And they built mounds and pyramids like in Africa. So many of us did have a knowledge prior, but some of us that were enslaved hid seeds in our hair, in our braids, in our mouth. And those are some of the stories that I've heard. Like, for example, J.D. Elder, he has a book called African Survivals in Trinidad and Tobago. And then there's an author from South Carolina, Lorenzo Dow Turner, that did a lot of research, and it's called Africanisms in the Gullah Language. And so in looking at all of this documentation, you can't help but make the connection.